Hello and welcome. Kerry here from Healing Humanity, the power of a proper human diet. And today I'm thankful, grateful, blessed. We have our carnivore Q&A Thursday night live. We're going to be answering all of your questions. We're going to be giving away some amazing prizes. And we've got a wonderful panel with us tonight. We have Adam Lacey from Carnivore Today.
Hello, hello.
Lynn from Midlife Carnivore.
Hello.
Dr. Nelson from Kilts Health.
Hello.
And we've got Ashley, Carnivore Brothers.
Hey, everyone.
Welcome, everyone. So we're going to be doing some giveaways. So I'm going to announce that right away, and then we can start taking your questions. So please be prepared with your best question. I think the first thing we're going to give away here is a Redmond's travel size salt shaker. These are $20. They come in handy. I had mine down in Tennessee with me. Didn't forget to bring it this time. So post your best question with hashtag salt. Hashtag salt. And in order to win, you just have to do one more thing. You have to follow each of the folks here on the panel. And I have their YouTube channels listed in the description below. It literally takes about a minute. You just click subscribe next to each one, and then you post your best question with hashtag salt. And we also have 50% off right now our membership site, healinghumanity.life. And that promo code is LIFE425. And there's a link in the description below. If you need some more community on your carnivore diet, we are here for you. We just got off of our Inspire Together call we do on Thursday nights. We've got doctors, experts, Q&As, and we do like 12 Zoom calls a week. Courses, all sorts of great community to help you on a path to healing. So link in the description below for that. And should we take some questions?
Sure.
We just got one.
We got one from Susan. Post your questions quick. Let's go here. Hashtag salt with your best question. We got a question from Susan. Is it best to go all in when starting carnivore or slowly adapt to it?
I'll take that one if you want to start with me, and then I'm sure you guys can chime in. But I like to say it kind of depends on where you're coming from, right? Because if you're coming from a really extreme, sad, garbage diet, and then you try and go all in, you're going to probably feel some effects of that. And the keto flu is real for a lot of people and things like that. And so I would say that it also kind of depends on your personality. I'm an all-in guy. So when I hear about something like that, I'm all in. So I do it and I jump right in both feet. But I know there's a lot of people that aren't like that. And so if you start out more on a keto, get rid of a lot of the carbs and sugars slowly kind of at first, I think most people find that they don't feel that keto flu and some of the side effects quite as severe on the front end. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think personality does play a role because I had tried to do gradual in the past, and I figured that I found that because I was struggling longer with the cravings, I kept falling off the wagon. And because I did try, getting rid of the starchy carbs first, and the sugar, but the cravings, to me, it prolonged the recovery from the cravings. So for my personality, I was better just going cold turkey and just getting it out of the way, because it took about 3 weeks before I really felt like I had gotten victory over the cravings. And I went on carnivore twice, and the first time I don't think I did it the best. And the second time I made sure I was really well hydrated and took the electrolytes. And so I didn't get that keto flu the second time around. But the first time I didn't hydrate well enough, and I didn't do the electrolytes, and it was more of a struggle.
Yeah, I'm kind of just ripped the Band-Aid off. But when I always tell people if I were to recommend, I would say ease into it and try to, especially if you're doing the standard American diet, do a keto diet and ease into it, because it could really upset your gut otherwise. If you jump right into it, you might make it a lot harder for yourself. But I probably wouldn't take my own advice and just rip the Band-Aid off and go full carnivore myself.
I think that the more metabolically sick you are, and if you're coming from the standard atrocious diet, the more likely you're going to have some of the undesirable side effects of going keto or carnivore. So, yes, maybe those people should ease into it. You can do it rather quickly, but just not jumping ahead. However, if you've been doing a ketogenic diet and you're truly having a low carb, high fat diet, you may be ready to just start from one day to the other. You are not very likely, if you're truly doing ketogenic diet, staying under 20 carbs a day, you're not very likely to have some of the potential adverse effects from going strictly into a carnivore diet. So it depends where you are. I've never had the keto flu myself. So, but and I was on a keto before I jumped into carnivore. So my 2 cents for what it's worth.
Yeah, and I would say if you do go cold turkey into it, which none of us, I'm sure, advise, but if you do, because it's your personality, don't try to exert yourself. You allow yourself to rest. Like if you work out or whatever, just give yourself the time to relax and rest and get plenty of sleep. Don't push yourself during
And
that.
keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we got a question from Crazy Annie. Is indirect sunlight just as good as direct sunlight in the morning? My balcony doesn't get direct sun until 11 a.m.
I actually looked this up a long time ago, and the only reason why I know, you have to stay out longer, basically, but you can get decent exposure, but it just takes longer. I don't know if any of the rest of you have ever looked this up before or not, but that's what I read.
So regardless of which light it is, you're gonna get some of the rays that are gonna convert your vitamin D on your skin to an active form, because it's not that the sun gives you vitamin D, but converts an inactive form to an active form. Yes, the more direct, the more light there is, the better. So if you don't get, I agree with you, stay a little bit longer if you're not getting direct sunlight.
Yeah, and if you have privacy, expose more of your skin.
I tried to do that, but my neighbors complained.
Call the cops.
Nancy asks, has anyone discussed how our individual taste buds affect our cravings for certain foods like sugar?
I don't think happens at the taste bud. I think happens up here in the brain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. But there is a difference in people. Like some people prefer salty or savory versus sweet. So it might be easier if you don't normally crave as much sweets. If you prefer savory, it might be easier to go carnivore.
Hey, we got a super chat. Thank you, Caleb. Caleb's great.
Thanks, Caleb again.
Caleb's Carnivore Quest, great YouTube channel. $2 super chat. Carrie, do you like Lion Diet or Bee Lion more? Great question. I like Bee Lion more. And for those that are listening, that's my Lion Diet cheat. So Lion Diet is just ruminant animals, and the bee is butter. I add butter, so I get more fat. So it's kind of cheating on Lion a little bit, but that's what I prefer. I guess I would prefer straight up Lion Diet if I could just eat ribeyes all the time. But I find when I just do regular Lion Diet, I'm struggling to get enough fat. So I've been adding butter in.
Now, I hear from an undisclosed member of your family that there is no bacon left in the house.
Yes. So to answer the question even further, currently I'm not on any sort of Lion Diet. I'm on the bacon diet, the carnivore bacon diet. I switch. I've done Lion Diet. I was talking about this on the earlier call. I've done Lion Diet for 60 days, 90 days, 120 days with no bacon. And then I'll just get some cravings, or the girls will be making it or something. And then I'll switch back to carnivore. For 2 years now on carnivore, I've done just a pretty solid rotation of like 60 days Lion, 60 days carnivore with some bacon. And when I eat bacon, I eat a lot of bacon. I like bacon. Thank you, Caleb. Question from Steak Mom. For those of you just joining us, we're giving away a $20 Redmond salt shaker. Post your best question with hashtag salt. Hashtag salt. Is it possible that electrolytes taken every day can cause high blood pressure? How do we know if we need them?
Go ahead, Lynn. You were going to say something.
Oh, I was going to just ask you because that sounds like a Dr. Nelson question.
So salt is not going to cause high blood pressure. However, if you have hypertension, many people with hypertension are sensitive to salt, and about maybe at 20%. And I was sensitive to salt, by the way. I couldn't have salt. It would increase my blood pressure. That happens when you are on a high carbohydrate diet. Okay. As you transition, your blood pressure will get better. You'll be able to tolerate more salt, basically. Sodium being the main electrolyte we're looking for. And I eventually came completely off all my blood pressure medications, and I still have to use salt every day. So I actually fill this up, put a full teaspoon of sodium chloride there, put some potassium chloride. I take my magnesium separately. So you can transition into someone who's not sensitive to salt, basically, is the bottom line.
So the other question was, how do we know if we need them?
Go by the symptoms. If you keep it simple, I'm sure many people here listen to Dr. Westman, and he doesn't even tell people ahead of time, take salt or anything. But if they complain of symptoms, he tells them to use a cube of broth, basically, or to add salt. If you're getting fatigue, if you're getting any symptom, I think might be from going ketogenic or carnivore, then you might need them. There are some people that most people at the beginning might need them, not all. And after some time, and I know Adam can comment on this, sometimes you can just go off of any electrolytes.
Yeah, I definitely had to go off the electrolytes. It caused nausea and indigestion for over a year and couldn't figure out what it was. Bella said that she didn't eat salt at all, and I thought that was interesting because I had basically narrowed my diet down to next to nothing, and except for salt was basically the only thing that I could give up. I gave it up, and the nausea went away. And most people say that you have to do electrolytes, eat much more salt than normal. But in my case, it was a little bit of the opposite. So I eliminated salt, got rid of the nausea, and I don't seem to be suffering any effects from not having electrolytes. Now, that's me in my particular situation. So if you're thinking about doing that for yourself, definitely think about titrating down and testing out to see if, that's actually something that's going to work for you or not. I wouldn't recommend just quitting cold turkey.
Yeah.
All right. The next question we have is from Family Roots Farm. How do you feel about allulose? I'm trying to make some treats for my little kids as I'm transitioning them. Most of the keto ones use allulose.
I mean, for kids and transitioning, I think it's good. You have to be careful because it can cause GI upset for some people. So I'd say be careful and watch for that. But I would think for transitioning, it's probably okay in my opinion. But I mean, I think the goal is to get with the kids to get them to get over their taste for sweets, because the more you eat carnivore foods, the more non-sweetened things actually taste sweet. And then hopefully that'll be the goal over time, that these things that are actually sweetened will be like, ooh, they're sickeningly sweet. So I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. If you're trying to bridge the gap, probably fine for a little bit. I think of all the artificial sweeteners, that's probably a better one to choose
Better ones.
than the others, temporarily anyway.
And just a warning, all of them can give you GI distress, basically.
Mhm.
I don't know if that's the case for sucralose, but most of the artificial or natural sweeteners, allulose is a natural sweetener. Probably the best among those choices.
Yeah, I've heard though that it can actually promote weight loss, which for a lot of us is great, but I'd be careful, watch for kids because
Yeah,
they're growing.
because it has a weak GLP-1.
Mhm.
Don't go chasing the GLP-1 effect on allulose because it's very minimal, and then you have to take, large doses. So, but for transitioning, yeah.
All right. Melissa has a question. What are your thoughts about higher fat for women?
I think it's really important, and because it supports our hormones. So it's hard though psychologically when we've been taught, to go low fat. It's you got to get over that psychological barrier of going and high fat. It also too depends on your underlying health conditions, especially if you have anything like mental health issues or any neurological issues. You might need to be 80% fat versus 75% fat. But I think that, and I don't know if it's just specifically for women, because men it's important too. But when it comes to hormones, women, we tend to talk more about women, and especially if you're getting into perimenopause, menopausal area, it'll be really good to support your hormones. Oh,
You're muted, Carrie.
you're muted again, Carrie.
Sorry. Can you put the names of our guests on the screen? Yes, I'll try to do better at that. When the question's up, they just disappear, but when the question's down, they come right back on. So the next question we have is from It's Always the Quiet Ones. How does carnivore play a part in mental health?
Sounds like a question for Carrie.
Mm-hmm.
It's definitely helped my mental health. I think it probably reduces inflammation in the brain. You get rid of the brain fog. That's a definite thing I noticed. Stabilizing your blood sugar. I know there's a lot of talk. Dr. Georgia Ede has the best book on it, which I highly recommend to everyone. Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind. I think one of the big reasons is because we heal our gut. I remember Dr. Tony Hampton telling me that, I think he said 90% of serotonin is made in the gut. It kind of blew my mind. I thought I had depression for so many years because of something in my brain, but I think a lot of it is in our gut. And when we eat a carnivore diet, many of us heal our gut. And then there's the gut-brain axis. So there's a big connection between the two. The things that I've noticed the most is we've interviewed 46 people for the documentary, and for many different health issues, but so many of them, for one reason or another, they had some sort of anxiety or depression, and almost all of them have overcome that on carnivore. A lot of people saying, I didn't realize I had the brain fog until it went away, sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and they say that Alzheimer's, they're calling it type 3 diabetes, and because you definitely get an issue with glucose in the brain, and it affects your brain. But I remember from her book, one of the really interesting things was she talked about the cellular aspect of, the cells in the brain, the Krebs cycle, and how you've got like a 13-step glucose path. So there's people out there that they found have an impairment in that path where glucose goes into the Krebs cycle. And so they really can't process the glucose. Whereas if you are on a carnivore diet, you're working off of ketones, it bypasses that dysfunctional pathway and the ketones can get directly into the cycle, and which your cells need to produce energy. So it's really fascinating. And she talked too about the electron transport chain and how there's some dysfunction depending on which disease you have. It's fascinating. Get her book if you want to know like the science behind why it actually helps you with mental health. It's really fascinating.
Absolutely. All right, Patty has a question. Can eating high-fat carnivore cause a menopausal woman to start her period again? Don't want that. I'm 65.
It should not. What do you think, Dr. Nelson?
It is possible, but any bleeding at 65, you need to go and be
Go.
checked, because any postmenopausal bleeding, not everyone, but any postmenopausal bleeding could be a sign that you're developing endometrial cancer. So you want to be checked. You shouldn't be bleeding. But is it possible if you still have some hormones around? I guess it's possible, because not every woman stops at one single age, right? Oh, it's not at 50, it's not 55, not at 45. Is it some women that continue to have menses until 60? There are a few. It's now on the rare side, right? But it is possible. But if you have if you're 65 or over and you have bleeding, go to OBGYN. You need to be checked.
Yeah, was it Dr. Barry, or was one of the doctors I was listening to said that one of their patients got really mad at them because they went on a carnivore diet and got pregnant at 55?
It was Dr. Barry. It was in his book. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
That was the same thing. One was really happy. One was really mad.
One was really mad, yes, to get pregnant at 55. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know my wife would be one of those mad ones, and then you'll be attending my funeral. She has already threatened that.
Debbie Purple with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. If you had a question, we'll have to check.
Love the last name. It's my favorite color.
Debbie, if you wanted to post a question, you might have missed posting it. Please repost it with the QQQ and we'll
There
try
is
to get
one.
it.
Yeah, we
Okay.
got her down there.
All right. You can be carnivore too. Age 62, gastric bypass 20 years ago. Anything different I should do on carnivore?
You might need to eat smaller quantities and more frequently, and also fat can be a challenge. And so I know, like, the people I've talked to that have had gastric bypass that do carnivore have to make sure that they keep their fat, couple their fat with protein. You may need to experiment around with how to get your fat, because that's really important. Any other suggestions, Dr. Nelson?
You might need to eat 3 times a day. But the rules are the same. Eat until you're satisfied. Many people, when there are several types of gastric bypass, and some of them develop most of them will limit basically your space in your stomach. So you can't eat past that. You get full, and you're going to have to eat multiple times a day to be able to get your nutrition. So those are people who I would not limit, try to reduce to twice a day or once a day. If you have to eat 3 times a day, still the same rules apply. Eat until you're full. Don't eat again until you're hungry again. Yep. And if that's only twice a day, then do it twice a day. I doubt it that most people with a gastric bypass are going to be able to eat once a day and eat enough.
I remember meeting when we met Lindy, Limitless Lindy. That was one of the things. So she just ate very, very slowly too. It was a very long time frame that she had to eat and get everything in.
Yeah. And even without any sort of gastric bypass or gastric sleeve or lap band surgery, people that haven't had any of that can have some acid reflux at the beginning, and which tends to go away. But I know that happened to me. So you need to back off on fat initially and go real slow with getting yourself fat adapted, because they potentially could have some acid reflux at the beginning.
Wendy has a question. A1C 5.5, HDL 53, trigs 217, LDL 156, blood work done, not fasting, and been carnivore since January 6th. Should I worry?
If you want to worry, you can. We're not going to stop you, but not about those numbers.
So the triglycerides
Foods
not
are high.
fasting. I mean, what if it was fasting? Would we better get a better feel?
How long you were fasting, how,
Yeah.
all that affects. And also, how long was she carnivore before the test? Because it doesn't say when the tests were. And if you're, so this is for this, and there, I did see one at least question regarding triglycerides. Don't do any testing when you start. If you're gonna do them, do tests before you start. But after you start, don't do any tests for at least 6 months, because there are going to be some transitional numbers. And one of the things that happens is triglycerides may actually go up and then come down. And we're in April, so this test were done within 6 months of you starting.
Yeah, I mean the A1C, the HDL is really great, and even the LDL, it wouldn't be any concern at all. And just when you do it again, get another one at 6 months and make sure you do a 12-hour fast.
Yeah.
Ahead
12
of
at least 12 to 16
Mhm.
hours if you can. And try to make it only, I mean, if you had to drink water, if you had to take any medicines, just water, just a true fast 12 to 16 hours.
Yeah, and don't let your doctor try to put you on a statin.
Debbie has a question. Been doing this for 1 month, went all in and not sure what keto flu feels like, but I haven't lost any weight. Is this normal? Can I drink a squeezed lemon with baking soda, or is that holding me back?
Squeezed lemon with baking soda for what? Is there a problem? Gastroesophageal reflux?
Those seem to kind of counteract each other because you got acid and then you got baking soda. Is there something that they do together? No.
Even the mix might help with reflux,
Mhm.
but I don't know that she's using it for reflux, so I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't think the squeezed the lemon would hold anybody back. To not, and if you don't know what keto flu feels like, that's good.
That means you don't have it.
That's good. That's a really good thing. No weight loss. I think 1 month is too soon for a lot of people because it really depends on how much weight you have to lose. And if you don't, I'd say try not to eat the exact same thing every day. Switch it up, make sure, maybe track for a few days and see what your macros are. You might be getting too much protein and not enough fat. But I would not absolutely get discouraged at all and focus on the non-scale victories. How are you feeling? How much energy? The fact that you don't have keto flu, that's really good.
Yeah, I would second that. Maybe a little bit more clarification on exactly what it is you're eating. If you're eating a lot of lean meats, things like that, that can really affect what you got going on, and as well, how much weight you actually have to lose.
Yeah. And honestly, I mean, when it comes to fat, it's kind of hard because, when it comes to healing, you need the fat. But I know on my journey, so many times I went lower fat and I found that I did lose weight because I have plenty of fat for my body to live off of, but it's a different type, right? So you kind of have to play with the fat. I think it's perfectly okay to have higher fat days and lower fat days and kind of mix it up.
Jacqueline asks, will carnivore help pulmonary hypertension? I have this because of pulmonary embolism back in 2000.
Yes.
Yeah, I would say.
Your blood, that a very low carbohydrate, high fat diet, carnivore is one of those, will help most people with any type of blood pressure, whether it's arterial hypertension, which we call it outside the heart lung system, or pulmonary hypertension, which, as she explained very well, it was developed after pulmonary embolism. That means her lung circulation got clogged up a little bit, and you're developing now a problem with your pressure when your heart pumps into the lungs. It's the heart has to push harder. But I think all systems blood pressure will be better. Will it happen on everyone? By the way, no. But most people, it will.
But it does lower inflammation. And if you have lung inflammation, that's going to absolutely help. So I've heard many stories of people that it helps their lungs, that helps. I've heard an amazing story of someone who had a very severe post-COVID lung issues and was on tons of oxygen and came back and recovered with the carnivore diet.
Even people with COPD, asthma,
Mhm.
other respiratory problems, they seem to get better.
Mhm.
All right, we're going to do a drawing right now. We're going to give away a Redmond's travel size salt shaker. Here we go. The winner is K Worshipper. Congratulations, you've won a Redmond's travel size salt shaker. How can K Worshipper claim their prize, Adam?
Well, K Worshipper, you can go to healinghumanity.movie/giveaway, fill out the form, and Ashley will promptly send you your salt shaker. Congratulations.
Anywhere in the lower 48.
All right.
Speaking of that, Ashley, we have these new salt shakers
Yes, we do.
that have Healing Humanity on them. Do we have those on our website yet?
They are not up on the website yet, but they will
Okay.
be hopefully soon. It still says, what to say, just a random salt shaker, which we used to have the random design salt shakers, but now we've got a few of the randoms left, but these are the ones we're sending out now with the Healing
Awesome.
Humanity.
Officially official.
All right. We're going to give away, let's see. We're going to give away a membership to healinghumanity.life, #life. So post your best question with #life. Make sure you're following all of the folks here on the panel tonight. And we're going to be doing that in a few minutes. #life, 1 month free. And we have one other announcement I forgot. Ashley, we got another meetup coming up. We got a couple meetups coming up, right?
You're muted.
We do indeed. Yeah, I don't know if you have the flyer for Ontario. There it is.
There we go.
Ontario's the next one. Only a couple of weeks away. It's crazy. It's just coming up quick. May 10th. Lot of tickets sold for that already. There are definitely some more available. And if you are available or in the area, it's going to be outside of the Hamilton area a little bit, but Carrie will be there. His whole family will be there. Almost his whole family, I should say. The triplets, Jen, Carrie, Dr. Kiltz, and Dwight Garlow is going to be great. He's semi kind of hosting the event too, right? So he's gonna play a role. And Ronnie Campbell, stage 4 cancer survivor, going to be there. It's going to be a great event. First time in Canada.
Yeah. And there's a link in the description below if you guys want to check that out, if you want to join us. And we've got many more events coming up as well. Link in the description below.
Next one after that will be in Seattle, Washington, Great Northwest, June 7th. So that's in Lynn's backyard. So we're excited to go back up there and visit the Great Northwest.
Looking forward to that one. Carnivore Cash asks, 5 years carnivore, near ideal weight, no meds. I am having leg cramps. When I up the magnesium, potassium, salt, it seems to be worse. Is there something else I should look into?
I can answer that one. So I had the same problem and I got rid of the salt and I did not supplement with magnesium and things. I tried many different versions of all of these, and eliminating them all is what stopped my leg cramps, which is counterintuitive. It's the opposite of what everyone else recommends. So I would definitely recommend at least trying to eliminate that. And I would go at least 5 days, get to the point where you can wean off of the salt magnesium. And then once you're fully off of it, give it at least 5 days to see if that helps out with those leg cramps. But increasing your water intake could probably help benefit you as well.
So she doesn't mention water intake, which may also play a factor. Maybe she's drinking too much water for the amount of electrolytes she's drinking, in which case she's diluting what she's drinking, and maybe decreasing the amount of water will help her. Or just eliminate the electrolytes, like you mentioned, and that might be the solution. What you can do temporarily, one of the things that I have some magnesium oil, I mentioned it. It's not the best absorbed way to keep magnesium in your body, but it's good enough to, at the moment of a cramp, for the, you start rubbing that oil, and a minute later, maybe the cramps do go away. But not everybody's the same, and we all need fluids and electrolytes, but we may not need them at the same level when you're doing this way of eating.
Yeah, and it's better to get to the source, the root of the problem.
Oh, this is a great question for Dr. Nelson. What time, quantity, and type is the best BM?
We've been talking about magnesium, and I'm assuming they're asking about the dose of magnesium, but because the best,
I'm reading that as a bowel movement.
That's what I read it
well,
as.
that's what I'm. Yes, magnesium relating to the bowel movement is what I'm thinking. But if you're just sucking, when is the best time for a BM? When you feel like going to the bathroom, okay?
But what type? What type?
Don't
though,
push
Doc?
it. Don't get desperate. You may notice that you're going less frequently. Just when it comes, it's gonna come out. If you're talking about a dose of magnesium for constipation, probably, just take your pick of whatever you use that's effective. Milk of magnesia. You can start from 1 teaspoon to a couple of tablespoons, 30 to 60 mLs of MOM on ours. That's a common.
Or magnesium citrate people take for.
Or for magnesium citrate, and again, it depends what works best for you. So if you're asking us when to go, just
go when you need to. But I mean,
how much though?
You have to redefine constipation. If we are talking about bowel movements, when you're carnivore, you need to redefine constipation because I was taught as a GI nurse that people should be going at least once a day. And that is not the case with carnivores. So I have redefined constipation as if you have hard stool or if you have to strain to go. Because you may not go as often, but as long as when you do have to go, it's easy to pass and it's not hard, you're not constipated.
And that freaks a lot of people out. That's why it's important to redefine that, because I think when you're used to going sometimes multiple times a day and then you don't for a couple of days, you kind of get panicked. But
right. And if you're not bloated and you're not uncomfortable and you don't have to strain and it's not hard, then you're not constipated.
Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. Aunt B said, what are your thoughts on using fat on a fast? As I have vitamins, etc., I must take it, and that fat allows me to preserve the integrity of my stomach lining.
Coach Lisa has us use fat on a fast, especially if we need help. And I'll take a teaspoon of butter and salt it and eat it during a fast, and that helps.
All right. Eating eggs every day and having meat 3 to 4 times per week will get the same benefits? ?
That's a good premise for a study.
That's a broad question because it depends on your baseline health.
Also depends on what kind of meat, right? Like, I think Dr. Nelson was about to say it depends on how fatty that meat is. But eggs are a multivitamin. It's got a lot of great nutrients in eggs. I think you can do great with eggs. You just want to make sure you're also adding in probably some good fatty meat when you have your meat.
I think it depends too how histamine sensitive you are. If you're having troubles, it could be the egg whites because they're high histamine. So the more, and you may not even have histamine issues right now, but if you eat a ton of eggs and you find that you start to have, some symptoms or your gut's not comfortable, it may be the egg whites that could be the problem. I mean, but if it's meat aversion, can you have meat aversion? Then, that's better than nothing.
All right. Simple Carnivore. Have you discovered bacon on the barbecue yet? I've ruined myself on it. Can't eat it any other way now. I've never tried that.
Before anybody goes, I got to say, warning, I have tried it and I almost lit my house on fire. So be careful if you do it because the bacon grease is flammable. And I made a big error one time with that. So be careful if you try that. I don't know if Simple Carnivore has a good method of doing that, but it will flame up. So
need more information.
I don't know if this is a ploy here to burn people's houses down. I hope not, but
Be a firefighter. I don't need more work.
Well, any type of cut that's gonna render a lot of fat, if you put it on the grill, unless it's a flat top, any grill that's using fire or even charcoal, when those rendered fats drip down, it's gonna get caught on fire. So
yeah, my problem was I was using one of those little sheets. I had the bacon on there, and flame got up on top of it, and then it was a mess. So just warnings on that one. I would definitely be careful on that. But I imagine it'd be great if you kept a good close eye on it. I haven't tried it. I wasn't successful. The pieces I had on there did not taste great. Little black charcoal bits.
Speaking of our Washington meetup, we have breaking news that our friend Lash might be joining us out there. To be confirmed officially, but
Cool.
Lash has a question for Dr. Nelson. Did you break your fast yet?
well, Lash, I did. Yesterday I ate. So I completed 10 days, 10 full days.
Wow.
It's my longest. My longest before that had been 5 days.
Good job.
So I'm gonna ease into, but in a few months I'm gonna try to go 40 days. Before that, I plan to maybe from 10 work up to maybe 21 days, 3 weeks, and then work. I think. I have no need to do it all of a sudden, and but I want to complete at least a 40-day biblical
Nice.
fast.
Did you, Dr. Nelson, how did you break your fast?
I had some cube steak, some scrambled eggs, a little bit of cheese.
So you didn't do like a bone broth or
I
anything?
didn't do a bone broth. I just ate, and I just
Good.
was careful that I didn't overeat. And then I was so tired that I went to sleep a few hours later, which I normally. Last night I went to bed like at 7.
That's incredible.
Cool.
10 days. Wow. All right. Sisay said, what is the future of the carnivore diet? Will it fade away or stay strong? Maybe take over the vegan diet in popularity?
Well, ancestrally, this is the way humans have ate for millennia. So I would say it's probably not going away for a long, long time.
Well, I checked on Google Trends, and the carnivore diet was trending up, and vegan and vegetarian diets were trending down. So it seems like we flip-flopped and at least in Google searches. So that's really encouraging. And I think it's also encouraging that our new NIH leader is carnivore. So that's nice to know.
So question back to how you pronounce that, Cisse? Sorry about my Spanish accent, but which one is the new diet when you look at history? Is it the vegan diet or is it the carnivore diet? Vegan diet is the new thing for the past, I don't know, you can go back to 100, 125 years. Before that, it was just a minuscule number of people who would, in history, be vegetarians, vegans. The carnivore diet is not new.
Question for Midlife Carnivore. Is there a rough estimate of time to reintroduce foods that cause histamine reactions? For example, like ground beef. If so, how would you go about it?
It's very individual. And so I think as a general guideline, I would say if you have not had any sort of histamine reaction and you're, for quite a while, I'd say maybe at least a couple of months, and you're kind of thinking maybe it's time to test things out. First of all, make sure that you know what your reactions look like, which I'm assuming you do. Have any medications that you may need in case you have a reaction, have it there, whether you take Benadryl or if it's like I did, I take, have a rapid dissolved Claritin, chewable famotidine, have it available. And then, so you could try some ground beef, but then give it a few days because the reaction isn't necessarily immediate. It could happen like 3 days later. And really pay attention to, because it isn't necessarily, not everyone like breaks out in hives, or not everybody has like the throat swelling like I had. You just may feel congested, or you may have some gut pain, or you may have joint pain. Sometimes for me too, like it'll be joint pain, it'll be like the next day all of a sudden I've got hip pain that settles in. So when you're testing things, pick one thing, eat some, and then give it a several days. And if you feel perfectly fine, then maybe try it again, because it's also can be quantity based. And so you may have to watch, like I had to really watch, and I found out that, okay, yeah, I do okay if I ate bacon and eggs. But initially, if I ate it every day for like 3 or 4 days, then I'd start to have problems. So I had to back off. So it's a complete experiment with yourself. So really just being aware and being ready if you do have a reaction is the best thing. And then if you do have a reaction, back off, let it completely clear up, and give yourself a little space before you try again.
And go to Lynn's channel. She has some excellent videos there about all this.
Viva asks, if someone is on an epilepsy medicine, no gallbladder, and menopause, how much does that interfere with fat loss, and what's most important to focus on with carnivore?
So I guess I'll take this one. Most epilepsy medicines will probably make you gain weight, with the exception of topiramate, because topiramate actually can be used as one of the medicines that may help you lose weight. I believe all the other ones, to more or less a degree, will cause weight gain. So yes, it's going to interfere with weight loss. Now, I'm not going to tell you to stop taking your seizure medicine, because you're taking it most likely because you need it. But if you're having seizures, your diet should be high fat. It is actually fativore, not carnivore. That's a message from my boss.
So does that mean at least 80%?
Yeah, 70 to 80%. You might want to stay there. You want to make sure that you're, it's being ketogenic. Not everybody on carnivore will have high levels of ketones, but because of this particular need, if you want your diet to help you in suppressing seizures, then it should be 20% of your calories coming from protein, from beef, meats, or whatever you're having, and 80% of them coming from fats.
Yeah. And it's important to emphasize that's calories, not volume.
Yes. That works out to be a little bit more fat than carbohydrates. I don't know, like a 50-50%, not percent. 50 grams and 50 grams of fat and carbohydrates comes out to be about 30, not exactly, but 30-70 as far as the calories coming from
Carbohydrates
fat.
or protein, Dr. Nelson?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry if I misspoke. Definitely not carbohydrates.
Yeah, you mentioned twice carbohydrates, so I just
Yeah.
wanted to clarify you mean protein.
Protein and fat. Yes.
All right. Bride Biscuit, hashtag salt, and a question about salt. Most iodized salt have lots of other bad ingredients, so I use Redmond's, Himalayan, and Malden, but I'm concerned about getting enough iodine. Any clean iodized salts out there?
I can talk a little bit about this. I did some studying on the iodine that's actually in the salt, and I believe it has a very short half-life. So there's not much iodine that's actually in the salt that is iodized, and it's not optimal either. So it's better to supplement with an iodine supplement like Lugol's. But I would say that with a caveat that it does sort of modify how the thyroid works a little bit. And if you have any potential thyroid issues, that could cause problems. So you might want to get that checked first before you start iodine supplementation. But if it was me and I was worried about getting in iodine, I would take Lugol's iodine supplement. What about you guys?
I think it's important to like Adam said, get your thyroid checked, but you can also do an iodine loading test, which you can get through. There's a couple of labs in the US if you you can order those from. One is the Kahala Labs, I think that's how you pronounce it. And that it's like $70. It's a urine test. They'll send you a kit and you go ahead and do your urine collection and you send it in, and that will let you know whether you are actually deficient. And then you can also read Dr. David Brownstein's book, and he talks a lot about iodine supplementation. And in the back of his book, he lists the 2 labs in the US that you can get that loading test from. But I think doing the initial, lab work is important.
Yeah, to add to that also real quick, Dr. Brownstein's book, he also talks about the RDA for iodine is much, much lower than what humans should consume. So I would recommend getting his book on that. Basically, the iodine that's in salt is just enough to prevent goiter. It's not actually talking about, enough to supply the iodine that we need for total human health. So I would definitely recommend picking up a copy of his book and reading that.
Also, part of the question was about the iodized salts out there. Everyone I've seen, and I have not done an extensive research on all the salts that contain iodine, but it seems that all of the ones I've looked at, all of them, 100% of the time, have dextrose in it.
All right.
Which is a form of sugar.
Oh,
Yeah.
Which is a molecule, is identical to sugar. It's when in the hospital they give you an IV with sugar, it's dextrose.
Yeah.
And it's just a molecule that has the same glucose number of carbons, hydrogens, and oxygen, just a little bit twisted in the molecular. It's identical. Does the same thing.
Oh yeah. If you're in a hypoglycemic crisis, that's what we push. We push dextrose.
Yeah.
All right, here's a cooking question. Do you prefer to cook a ribeye in the air fryer or on the stove top, and what temperature do you cook it till? Sounds like an Ashley question.
Sounds like an Ashley question.
I'll take that question as far as which is the preferred. I like the air fryer for after I start cooking a steak in an air fryer. I just think it comes out a little moister, but both can be great. The key is the temperature. That is the key, and it depends on where you want it cooked to. At the time if you're going for a medium rare, which is what I like to pull it off. I like mine a little bit more on the rare side, but anywhere between, if you'll stop the cook around 130, it'll carry over, let it rest. It'll carry over to about 135. And to me, that's fantastic medium rare. So that's where I would look. If you do it on the stovetop, you do it on a hot, nice cast iron, for example, get a good sear on it first. That'll help retain the moisture in it. The air fryer, that one's a little trickier to say because every air fryer is a little different, and it's harder to cook the temperature on that one because you have to kind of open it up and check unless yours is one of those that has a probe that you can stick inside the meat and monitor it that way. But
Yeah, if
my
you
bet
have
is pull it off early and let it rest and let it cook up a little bit more. If you need to put a little more cook on it, then do that.
if you have a thermometer you can stick in there, then it's the same temperature that Ashley was mentioned. You cook it until about 130. If you want it rare, then maybe 120, and it's gonna rise a few more, up to 10 degrees more just with resting.
So I have my prime rib waiting, which I smoked this afternoon, and I cooked it up to 123, and that's carrying over right now, and so it should be about a perfect 130 for me. That's where I
What
want
time?
it.
What time should we
Yeah.
be there?
You'd be here about 4 minutes. Let's go.
This is a $10 super chat. Thank you guys. Carnivore for life. Thank you so much for that. Every single penny we get from super chats go entirely to our documentary, so we really appreciate that. All
Can
right,
I say one more thing on that last before you do the giveaway? Can I say one more thing on that last one? Because not a lot of people realize this, and I'm trying to get the word out. But this is Easter weekend, which is one of the best times to buy ribeyes and prime rib and the rib roast. A lot of grocery stores have it on sale right now. So check your local grocery stores, your newspaper ads, or what marketing that have. Usually it's in a digital app that you can get additional discounts, but lots of great deals. I saw a lot of that in the chat, people talking about it as well. So if you're not aware, this is a great time to buy ribeyes and prime rib roast, the whole roast, which you can just cut into ribeyes.
I'm going to check that out myself. Having a bunch of family over for Easter. I'm providing the meat.
There you go.
All right. We're giving away a 30-day free membership to healinghumanity.life. Here we go. And if you didn't win this, or if we didn't answer your question, we have a 50% off coupon in the description below. Last one.
Lash.
Congratulations, Lash. How can Lash claim his prize?
Well, Lash, you can probably just text Carrie.
But you need to get it from me.
Yeah, and then I'll send it to Lynn.
Right.
Very cool.
Congratulations, Lash.
Congratulations, Lash.
Awesome. So if you missed out or we didn't get your question, we answered lots of questions in our membership site. We do a Q&A every single week, a Zoom call. So consider joining us there. Otherwise, we do this call every Thursday at 6 o'clock Central Time. You guys have anything you want to mention or shout out before we wrap up?
I wanted to give a quick answer to Lori Lua about her migraines because it's painful. I would maybe increase salt. I've had a lot of people talk to me about migraines, and you're probably not getting enough sodium. And if you increase your sodium, you will probably notice that the migraines will improve.
All right.
And then for Melissa Ackerson, I may have spelled your name wrong, but I did put the name of the book in the chat for you. For Dr. Brownstein is this book right here, but I put the name in the chat
And he has several books based on iodine.
He has one on salt too.
Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Thank you for all your wonderful questions. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good night.
See you next week.
Good night.